The Atlanta Falcons just got some really, really good news. And this really good news comes in the form of this tweet by Dov Kleiman that says this. Rumors, Bengals star Trey Hendrickson may sit out the entire 2025 season if he doesn't get a new deal, per Jay Fowler, ESPN, Jeremy Fowler. I think it's entirely possible, based on what I'm hearing, for him to sit out the year if he doesn't get a new deal. I think that's his mindset right now. It seems Hendrickson and the Bengals are at a standstill. Let me tell you exactly what this means. This means the money ain't working out. The Bengals want to do this. Trey Hendrickson wants to do that. And they ain't got no deal. This also means the Bengals are messing around, and the Bengals do not want to pay Trey Hendrickson. This was day one. I knew that this was going to happen because they cannot pay all of their players the money that they want and also build out a roster that they need going forward. It is not possible. They just paid Jamar Chase $40 million. Joe Burrow makes $35, $40 million. T. Higgins makes $20, $25 million. You got to figure out ways to have other players on the team. You can't have 4 players making $140 million and expect to build out a roster that is trying to go to the playoffs. It's simply not possible. And it seems like Trey Hendrickson said, look, give me my money. And the Bengals are like, hey, we know you want to stay in Cincinnati. How about you take a team-friendly deal? And he's like, nah, bro, that's not happening. And you know who this benefits? The Atlanta Falcons. Because not only could they give a solid package for Trey Hendrickson, but they can also pay him the $35 million that he wants. Now, let me tell you why I also think Trey Hendrickson is not only going to be moved, but actually is probably going on the trading block right now. Now, Diana Rossini came out and said last week, or 2 weeks ago, I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever. She said, Cincinnati Bengals are trying to keep Trey Hendrickson in a deal. They're working out a deal right now. That was almost 2 weeks ago. Then some other Bengals fans basically came out and says the deal should be done as early as this week. This week has come and gone. This is Sunday currently. Trey Hendrickson has gotten no extension. You want to know why? Because the Bengals aren't trying to pay him $35 million. That's exactly right. And I said this earlier in an earlier video. I love Diana Rossini. She's a great reporter, but sometimes she doesn't have the whole scope. And it seems like that was the situation. Yeah, they were maybe talking about getting Trey Hendrickson a deal done, but they didn't involve the $35 million that he wants, because if they did, people would know. That's simply very, very, very unlikely after they paid after they're paying Joe Burrow, but Jamar Chase 40 and T. Higgins 20. Now, moving forward, what can the Atlanta Falcons do? Give up that second-round pick, pay Trey Hendrickson $35 million, and move on. He is your guy that could anchor this defense for the next 3 years. Give him his money and just continue to build this roster out. Because if he can get somewhat near the amount of sacks that he's gotten over the last 2 years, it takes Atlanta from the bottom 10 team in defense to, I would say, mid to upper 10 team in defense, because he has that impact that can change a defense. Now, for those wondering, well, how can Atlanta pay Trey Hendrickson? Obviously, Kirk Cousins' year is done after this year. Trey Hendrickson makes 16 plus, maybe $16 to $20 million this year. Next year, Kirk Cousins' contract comes off the books. You can pay Trey Hendrickson. That's basically a simple way to do it. Now, there's a lot that can be involved. The Atlanta Falcons can extend players. They can restructure contracts. But at the end of the day, when you lose a chunk of change from Kirk Cousins, you're able to sign Trey Hendrickson. That's basically what happens. And I think that's the 2026 season. Trey Hendrickson needs to be in Atlanta, and him saying he's willing to sit out the entire year means that it is closer to happening. One more note, and I will say this. Can you imagine the Cincinnati Bengals without Trey Hendrickson on defense? They've already lost Sam Hubbard. They've already been decimated on the defensive end. And the only bright spot that they've had over the last year or two is Trey Hendrickson. Also, they lost their defensive coordinator, who people say it wasn't that bad. If he decides to sit out and you don't get any value, you don't get a second round pick, you don't get a first round pick, whatever, he's just sitting to the side. the Cincinnati Bengals go from maybe a playoff team to, I would say, will struggle to win 6 or 7 games. Yes, they will score like crazy, but they will give up so many points in the defensive end that it's kind of scary, especially without a guy that got you 17 sacks last year. That's insane. So all this together makes me believe Trey Hendrickson is not only on the move, but the Cincinnati Bengals are thinking very closely and thinking very hard about potentially trading him. And I would say this: if we do not see a deal come out in the next 2 or 3 days, be on the edge of your seat, because Trey Hendrickson will be traded to the highest bidder. And I think right now the Atlanta Falcons have one of the better compensation packages that they can offer the Cincinnati Bengals to acquire Trey Hendrickson. But if you agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. Let me know how you felt about this whole ordeal. The dream is not dead, Atlanta Falcons fans. Trey Hendrickson is still a possibility, and this tweet further basically amplifies that. And if you want to see more videos like this, check this one out right here. And like always, peace.